All right, at this time, we're going to call this meeting to order, and I'll remind you all to please silence your cell phones or any electronic devices that may make noise at this time. We don't want them going off right when we're saying something super special tonight that I think that you all are here for. And with that, I'll ask Val, please call the roll.
Commissioner Penny?
Here.
Commissioner Curry? Commissioner Danio?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson? Mayor Villa?
Here, and before we move to the invocation, Commissioner Curry, as some of you may know, has a family emergency that she has to attend right now, and she did ask to be excused. So at this time, I will allow a motion on the floor to excuse her absence.
So moved.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Penny. You want to do the second? Second from Commissioner Johnson. Any discussion? Would anybody in the audience like to speak to this motion? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously, and our hearts and prayers are with the Curry family tonight. At this time, I'll ask you all to rise for the invocation and continue standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to pray and ask for your guidance, dear God. We come to you today during a special occasion to honor someone who has served our community, spent many tireless hours contributing to the history of our city. Dear God, please bless her and her family on her next journey. Dear Lord, please allow more citizens to be involved just as she was and as many citizens are here, dear Lord, to help make our city a better place. Dear God, we pray for our first responders. Please be with them and their families during this time and protect them. Dear God, we ask you to guide this commission in all of our decisions and allow us to have wisdom. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job. All right, and with that, we will go to the most exciting thing on the agenda today, and that is the proclamation of us recognizing Mrs. Rintha Flowers. And before I read this proclamation into the record, I just want to say thank you, Rintha, for everything that you have done for this community, for this town, the preservation of history. You know how many times I've given you a call. Look, I'm the youngest mayor in Florida, and this city is 120 years old, and there's times where we run into things that I don't know the full history on, and somehow, some way, she seems to just know everything. So we ask her about a certain monument or whatever it may be, and because of all of her research and time and effort that you've put into it, you know the entire history, and that is so great to have, and we have to preserve that history. And tonight, if you have been in these chambers before, obviously it looks a lot different. We have the old, this at one point, if you're not familiar, was the gymnasium basketball court in this room, and later it was turned into the offices and whatnot. So tonight we have the flooring shown because we're going through a remodel, and later tonight we're going to talk about whether or not we're going to be able to actually refinish this floor and provide even more history to this historic city hall that I know that you love and spent so much time dedicated to, Ms. Rintha. So on behalf of this commission, I just want to say thank you for your service, and I am so proud to be here today to read this proclamation in your honor. This is a proclamation by the mayor of the city of Holly Hill, Florida, recognizing Rintha Flowers for 35 years of success. Whereas Rintha Flowers moved to Holly Hill, Florida in 1947 with her parents as a child and grew up in her home her father built on Daytona Avenue behind the Holly Hill City Hall. And whereas Rintha loved growing up in Holly Hill, having attended Holly Hill Elementary School, Holly Hill Junior High School, and graduated from Mainland High School in 1957. And whereas after moving away to raise her own family in Alabama, Rintha decided to return home to Holly Hill in 2013 to retire. To retire, right? And whereas Rintha's childhood home that had long since been sold to another family became available when Rintha moved back to town. So she purchased the home in 2016. And whereas Rintha immediately became involved in the Holly Hill Historic Society, instilling her knowledge of the area and its founders, and whereas first-class exhibits were created, many new artifacts and assets were collected, and relationships formed to bring the Holly Hill Historic Museum into fine form. And whereas Rintha founded the popular annual historical home tour of Holly Hill, which includes this very city hall, which brings attention to and knowledge to our city's roots to life. And whereas the City of Holly Hill would like to recognize Rintha Flowers for her extraordinary contributions to the culture and quality of life of the City of Holly Hill. Now therefore I, Chris Villa, Mayor of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim April 13th, 2021 to be known as Rintha Flowers Day. Thank you, Rintha. And before I call you up, I would like to ask the director of the, everyone could sit now, the director of our Chamber of Commerce to come up, and she would just like to say a couple words. And while she's coming up here, I want to give a major thank you to Gil in the audience, the incoming president of the Holly Hill Historical Society. So Rintha, he called me and said, can we please make this happen? So I give you a lot of credit for getting to that, and we appreciate that because, of course, we want to honor all of your service that you've done to this community. So with that, I'll hand it over to Samantha Crouch, and if you'd like to say a couple words.
Yes, thank you so much, Chris. Rintha, we have so much to be thankful for you here in the community, especially the Holly Hill Chamber of Commerce. We've been neighbors long before I got here, and I've appreciated having you next door. As Chris touched on, you are a wealth of knowledge, so any questions that we've had or members have, you guys are always someone that we can reach out to, and I enjoy, sometimes you haven't been there when I come over and peruse and kind of get lost in there. My board president didn't hear that, but I enjoy coming in, over, perusing, learning some more about our businesses here, and we're definitely going to miss you. So thank you for being a pillar in the community. From the Holly Chamber of Commerce, we present Rintha Flowers with some flowers and congratulate you on your retirement.
And now, Rintha, if you'd like to come forward, do you have anything you want to say? Great. The microphone is yours, and afterwards we'll take a picture.
I guess I need to.
Come around this way. Here, you can speak this way. So you could face. Oh, do you? Okay. There you go. Then we'll turn it around.
Because all of you have been a help to us. We've been proud of the way the city has supported the museum, and the commission has supported the museum and been a help to me in searching things out. There's a lot of digging. I didn't know this history before I came back. I had to learn it again. Of course, I knew the town and knew many of the residents and all, but it was marvelous to learn that it had a history that was worth keeping. And so please, whatever you do, continue on, because it's a value to you. It's amazing what people come in here and say, I had no idea. That was the whole point. We wanted to give them an idea. There's something here to live for. And I appreciate that and encourage all in the community to go look. And if you have time, when I leave here, I'll take you out to the front lobby if it's not locked. It's not locked. Show you the story that's on the wall out there. It's a human interest thing. Artifacts are marvelous, but they are truly valuable when they have a story with them. And that's something I've striven to do and bring it to it. And I really appreciate this.
Thank you. Give her a round of applause. And you can all come up if you'd like. You don't have to stay in your seats if you don't want
In front of this podium. Thank you, guys.
Give her another round of applause. Thank you, Ms. Rentha, and I know that you guys have a reception to get to that's going to be a lot more fun than staying here and listening to us. So if you'd like to leave, we'll take a moment. Yeah.
Come on, man. 2016? That's 5 years. Yep.
All right. And with that, we'll move to item 3, which is public comments. This is the audience's opportunity to comment about anything not on our regular agenda tonight. Yes, sir, Mr. Legary.
Jim Legary, 342 Burley. Is this the foul line?
It's way back there.
Oh, there.
Yeah, yeah.
You fell?
Just wondering, I don't want to be in the.
You're in the wing position right now,
Right.
so we'll pass you the ball.
I have a couple of things I want to mention here. We have, I believe, for as long as I've been attending these meetings, discussing something to do with widening LPGA. And I'm of the opinion, I drive it 2 or 3 times a day, and I'm of the opinion that we should perhaps concentrate on the area so that people can stop somewhere, or people have interest, rather than making it so they can get through the area quicker. If you look at the canal is often foul. I've discussed it with Mr. Forte on numerous occasions. It isn't something that, it's a county thing, or whatever it is, we can't do anything about it. I'm sure if somehow there is a way for us to do something about it, and I'm sure that, I mean, if the fellow that did all the work at Synergy, if we gave him a pittance, he could make it look a whole lot better, I believe. Sir? Yeah. I just think, I mean, and it is, if we look at New Smyrna, or we look at DeLand, or we look at any of these communities that have an active situation, they're dealing with 2-lane roads. We don't have much area there. I don't know what, but if you, there's any number of things which I really think we should somehow investigate before we make it convenient for people to go faster through the community. I understand that we're in, the manna from Washington has dropped upon us to the tune of like $5 or $6 million. I would like to have some kind of input into how we disperse that. I have some suggestions. I know you're all eager to hear.
Very.
Yeah. Perhaps we could have a streaming of our meetings.
We do have streaming audio right now.
And it's functioning correctly?
Yeah, yeah.
Good. All right. Well,
That's how my wife
now,
does it.
yeah.
Or listens.
Now, if we could work on video, that would be just really sensational. I would like to have perhaps some kind of community service operator, somebody who is not part of the government, not part of the police, not part of the fire department, who goes into the communities that we don't hear much from. We seem to have a suspicion of government here, and I think if we had somebody that reported to you or reported to Joe or reported to somebody, that what people weren't afraid of, and people didn't have to come into the building and be impressed with all of the accoutrement. I really think there's a bunch of ways. The last thing that we did was the Harvard thing about what to do with the CRA money. And if ever there was a disappointment, it was showing up at these things that nobody knew about, and there'd be 5 or 6 people to listen to the man from Harvard discuss how they did things at Harvard. You know, we're a long way from Harvard. And I really think we need to do more to get more people involved. And if we could spend some of the money that way, you know, public health, mental health. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Legary. Is there anyone else in the audience? Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, I'm Heidi Heller, 460 Ridgewood Avenue. I was thinking that the 2021 R27 is about the incentive that we got for the tax. Is that correct?
Say that one more time. The what?
The resolution that you're passing, number 27, is that about the tax? The COVID
No,
5.1 million?
It's not, no.
Oh, okay, just because Mr. Legary brought it up.
Well,
Yes.
but
Yes, it
this is public comment, so anything
Right,
not on our
so-
agenda, and when we bring the consent agenda item, you can come back up. But basically,
that was the point of the
but
question.
I will say that you're talking about is just giving him the authority to actually accept the money. It goes very fast when you're allowed to accept it. We may not have a commission meeting, so he's allowed to accept it.
Sure,
But it's not
sure.
saying where it's
So I'll
necessarily
reserve
going
my time
specifically.
For that. I'm gonna
Yes,
come back for
yep,
consent.
that's fine. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission about anything not on our regular agenda? Seeing none, I'll close public participation, and we're going to go to the approval of minutes from March 23rd, 2021, regular city commission meeting. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion from Commissioner Danio, a second from Commissioner Johnson. Would anybody in the audience like to comment on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. Any discussion needed? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Now we'll go to the consent agenda, items 1 through 4. Would a commissioner like to remove an item? Seeing none, I'll continue. The action proposed is stated for each item on the consent agenda. Unless a city commissioner removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on any item on the consent agenda? Is this where you'd like to come back up?
No,
No?
she wants number 2 on the regular agenda.
Oh, on the regular agenda, okay. Seeing nobody from the public wants to come up, I'll close public participation. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda, items 1 through 4.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. No discussion is needed. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously, 4-0. Now moving down to our regular agenda. Item 1, Resolution 2021-R-26. Mr. Simpson.
Resolution number 2021-R-26 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, approving and awarding Rush Marine LLC the contract for the Sunrise Park pedestrian bridge replacement, authorizing the city manager to execute any necessary price agreements, and providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Are there any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. Entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Johnson and a second from Commissioner Danio. Any discussion needed? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 4-0. Number 2, Resolution 2021-R-27. Mr. Simpson.
Resolution number 2021-R-27 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute any future treasury terms and conditions documents required to execute in order to receive coronavirus local fiscal recovery CLFRF funds, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Are there any questions for staff? All right, we'll open this up to the public. Would you like to speak, Heidi?
Hi there, Heidi Heller, 460 Ridgewood Avenue. Yahoo! This is going to be pretty good for the city. It's going to be a nice cookie pot for the city to work on. I'm sure Mr. Forte has all the dots and T's and everything's all crossed and taken care of and in line, and it'll come expediently. I'm hoping, just like Mr. Gary, to be able to comment on where it's spent, how it's spent, and what it's also not spent on, and the priorities or checkoff lists that you have to consider. And I also would like that amount to be available to us to search and to see what is how much is going where, if there is a final listing of who gets what, where, and how it's done. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the commission? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. And before I call for a vote, so this resolution, as we stated, is to give the authority to our city manager to sign to accept the money, but this is not necessarily saying exactly what programs. We have to look at different programs. I understand that the county, the city manager will be talking to the rest of the managers. We want to make sure we know what everybody's doing, so there's not a rogue program over here and maybe one that's not over there. Would you like to comment any further on that, Mr. Forte?
The only thing I would do, Mayor, if you want, is to read the 4 categories of what the money can be spent on.
Yeah. But this is broad.
This is way broad.
This isn't the actual programs, but it's just 4 things that it could be spent on.
And there's still a lot of conversation to be had as to how the monies can be spent. So there's no, right now, if you ask me what do I want to spend the money on, I don't have an answer. Because we just don't know what we're eligible to spend the money on based on these broad criteria. So I'll read it into the record just so that it's there. So the categories that the fund were expanded to include to respond to public health emergencies with respect to coronavirus disease from 2019 or its negative economic impacts, including assistance to households, small business, and nonprofits, or aid to impacted industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality. Very broad, no details. To respond to workers performing essential work during COVID-19 public health emergency by providing premium pay to eligible workers for metropolitan city, non-entitlement unit of government, or county that are performing such essential work, or providing grant to eligible employers that have eligible workers who perform essential work. For the provisions of government services to the extent of reduction in revenue of such metropolitan city, non-entitlement unit of local government or county due to COVID-19 public health emergency relative to revenues collected in the most recent full fiscal year of the metropolitan city non-entitlement unit of government or county prior to the emergency, or to make necessary investments in water, sewer, or broadband infrastructure. So there's very broad categories here with no detail. For example, the last COVID-19 money that came into the county that the city got a portion of, for example, given to some of the businesses, they had to develop a software program to track and create the application, the criteria, the documentation had to be uploaded, it had to go through a review. So when it talks about things like giving money and assistance to households, small businesses, and nonprofits, there is no detail or explanation as to what that means. I read that one city was considering giving every resident property $195. I'm not quite sure what that's going to do. So while that's the 4 categories of what the money can be spent on, broadly speaking, none of my counterparts know exactly how this money is going to be spent. So as we get into that, there'll be more conversations, obviously more conversations with the commission and more approvals before we move forward.
Thank you, sir.
Isn't it going to be split? Like,
We will get our share. Now, the last time the monies went to the county and to entitlement cities, such as Daytona Beach, Port Orange, they're an entitlement city.
Right.
We are not an entitlement city. We're a non-entitlement metropolitan city, which means we don't get our own CBDG funds. We get our funds through the county. So this time around, they're giving the monies directly to the city. So we are anticipated to receive $5,192,686. That's what we're expecting. We should be getting half of that within, I forgot the time frame.
By summer.
And then the other half will come later. And we have up to December 2024 to spend the money. So it's not like it's going to come in next month and we're going to spend it by the end of the summer. It's going to come in two parts, and we're going to be able to plan this out. So we have to consider things that this city maybe couldn't afford to do, like improving the infrastructure. There's a lot of things, which is one of the approved categories. So there's a lot of things we need to talk about, and we'll end up having work sessions when that time comes. But in the meantime, right now, it's just my ability to sign and accept monies as it comes in.
Right. And let me just add, before I call for a motion, that Mr. Legary, you're right, and we do want your ideas. We want ideas of everyone. And so I encourage any member of the public, whether you're listening at home or if you tell people, please have them give us a call, because I'd love to hear more ideas on what we should do and what the community needs. And if people have good ideas, a good idea wins out the day, and maybe we could put that to work. We can't think of all the best ideas in the world. I think probably a lot of people know that. But what's that?
I just want the ideas to be within the categories.
Right, of the 4 categories that we can spend it on.
A lot of things we can't spend it on.
Right. So I do want to make it clear, though, that we are very open to ideas. This is uncharted territory for just about every city, and to have $5 million to be able to help our community, I know that all of us want to help the city at the best that we can. So we're open to ideas. With that, I will call for a motion for approval of this resolution.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by the Vice Mayor, a second by Commissioner Danio. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 4-0. Moving to item 3, request for lien reduction, 1521 Moravia. Mr. Forte.
So the city received a request for a code enforcement reduction of lien that's been placed upon the property at 1521 Moravia Avenue. The property is currently owned by Mary Sicilian. According to the Special Master Order of Noncompliance entered on May 21st, 2020, the property owner had begun to construct a deck in the rear yard without a permit. The Special Master determined a violation of city ordinance under Section 82-131 of the development permit. The owner was provided 60 days to correct the violation. The violation had not been corrected until February 24th of 2021. The order of lien has applied a special master fee of $250 plus $50 per day per violation against the property. The fine began accumulating on July 21st, 2020. As of the request for a lien reduction, the amount of the lien was $11,150. The property was found to be in compliance and qualifies for a lien reduction. To reduce the lien, I've applied the direct administrative cost plus 5% of the original lien and negotiated with the property owner for an agreed-upon settlement amount of $1,053.62. The lien should be paid by May 14th, 2021. This property is actually, the lien reduction came to us because another property that this property owner is selling, this came up as a cloud on that title. So this lien has to get cleared up in order for her other property to be sold.
Thank you, Mr. Forte. Are there any questions for staff? Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. I'll entertain a motion for approval as the motion was stated by Mr. Forte.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Johnson, second from Vice Mayor Penny. Any discussion needed?
I was just going to
Yes, sir.
question the 5 to 10%. Isn't that kind of your MO, sort of?
Yes.
This wasn't a candidate for a 10%, considering the occupation and the history?
No, I applied 5% to this because they started to build the deck. They stopped when they were told to stop. The owner's father was sick, was ill, suffering with cancer. He eventually passed away. The deck was taken down, brought into compliance that way. So
Okay.
that's the reason that I used 5%.
All right.
Good.
Suffice? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 4-0. Moving to number 7 on our agenda, which is our public hearing. Number 1, ordinance 2021-0-3038. Mr. Simpson.
Ordinance number 2021-0-3038 by title only for first reading. An ordinance adopting large-scale comprehensive plan amendments in accordance with Chapter 163, Part 2, Florida statutes, amending the coastal management element and to add objectives and policies for flood risk planning in accordance with Florida statute section 163.3178, subsection 2, subsection F, subsection 1, repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date.
All right. Mr. Walker,
Yes.
take it away.
Mayor, Commissioners. This is a request by the Community Development Department, and it's to approve a large-scale comprehensive plan text amendment to amend the coastal management conservation element within our comprehensive plan. And this is so that we can add objectives and policies for flood risk planning in accordance with Florida statutes. On May 21st, 2015, Senate Bill 1094, an act relating to the peril of flood, was signed into law. And it's in accordance with this Senate bill that Florida statutes now include sea level rise as one of the causes of flood risk that has to be addressed in the redevelopment principles, strategies, and engineering solutions to reduce flood risk. And the amendment to our coastal management element within our comprehensive plan is being done in order to comply with this state law. The law specifies components that need to be contained in the coastal management elements and that are required for a local government comprehensive plan. And each has to contain a coastal redevelopment component that addresses how to eliminate inappropriate and unsafe development in the coastal areas when the opportunities arise. Now, the actual things that the redevelopment component has to include are in the staff report, so I won't go through each one individually, but I will quickly go through the proposed amendments. Objective 3.7, flood risk. The city shall eliminate inappropriate and unsafe development and mitigate the flood risk to existing and future development in the coastal areas that are of high risk of flooding due to storm surge, high tide events, flash flood, stormwater runoff, and sea level rise when opportunities arise. Policy 3.7.1, the city shall continue to include development and redevelopment principles, strategies, and engineering solutions that reduce the flood risk in coastal areas. Policy 3.7.2, the city shall encourage the use of best management practices, development and redevelopment principles, strategies, and engineering solutions that will result in the removal of coastal real property from flood zone designations established by FEMA. Policy 3.7.3, the city shall continue to identify site development techniques and best practices that may reduce losses due to flooding, and also claims that are made under the insurance policies with regard to flooding. Policy 3.7.4, the city shall require redevelopment to be consistent with or more stringent than flood-resistant construction requirements in the Florida Building Code and applicable floodplain management regulations that are set forth in 44 CFR Part 60 as amended. Policy 3.7.5, the city shall require that any construction activities seaward of the coastal construction control lines established pursuant to Florida statutes be consistent with Florida Statute 161 as amended. And finally, Policy 3.7.6, the city shall continue to participate in the community rating system administered by the FEMA to achieve flood insurance premium discounts for residents. Now, this item was heard by the Board of Planning and Appeals at their regular meeting on April 5th, 2021. and they did vote 4-1 in favor of transmitting the proposed ordinance to state regional agencies, and then subject to their review, once we get back any comments that they may have, be brought back to this commission for adoption. So based on that, staff recommends transmittal of the proposed ordinance amending the coastal management conservation element, adding objectives and policies for flood risk planning to state and regional review agencies, and subject to such review, adoption of the ordinance amending the coastal management conservation element, adding objectives and policies for flood risk planning in accordance with Florida Statutes 163.3178 2F1.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Any questions for staff? Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on this? Seeing no one, we'll close public participation. I'll entertain a motion for approval as stated.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion from Commissioner Danio, a second from Commissioner Johnson. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously 4-0. Now we're moving to communications. Mr. Forte.
I have a number of items, Mayor. First, just a reminder to let you know that we are sending letters out to the property owners on our east-west roads to let them know that we're no longer going to be cutting those right-of-ways in front of their homes. It really is the responsibility of the homeowner or the business owner. So those letters are going out. I'll let you know that all of the city's properties that we've had are under contract or have been sold. The last two, Kansas and Ferndale, are under contract, so at least we're getting those back on the tax rolls. So I think we're free of surplus properties that we don't need to have under the city's ownership.
Did we learn a lesson?
I learned the lesson before I even got here. A couple of things that I need your direction on. One is the overhead projector screen above your head, Mayor, fell down from the roller a couple of weeks ago. The cost to replace that is $3,100. That's the cheapest cost that we get there to replace that. So one of the thoughts that we had was we could either replace that, and sooner or later it will do the same thing. It's no different than any other. You see the projector things, and it's taped onto a roll, and eventually that tape wears, and this lasts us quite a long time. So we can replace it again for $3,100, or another option is we could just use the white wall behind you, relocate that seal. We could possibly move that seal to one side and put the new city logo on the other side, or any other number of options that would be more permanent than to put the roller up. So I just want to kind of get your feedback and see what your thoughts are.
Or just look at those two.
Or you can just leave those two.
Yeah. I'm fine with leaving these right now. You can't see them?
Sit over to the side, Heidi. How about a couple mirrors? Got to be cheaper than $3,000.
So it can't be moved over there to do just one side because of the fan, right?
Well, then you got to rewire that whole overhead, and that's a to-do.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, that's a big to-do.
Not real big on moving the seal.
I know, I hate moving the seal. I really do. But what do you guys think?
I think that you should, if it was my house, I'd move that seal to one side, respecting the past. I'd put the new seal on the opposite side, respecting the present, and I'd take that screen material and permanently affix it to the wall so it's some type of reflection from the projector better than just the paint. But I don't know if that. We have projector paint. We have projector paint. That's even better.
They make projector paint?
Or paint the wall.
And actually, believe it or not, the best color to paint for projector
Blue?
paint is black,
Black.
because white can't produce black.
Interesting.
But I'm not advocating for that.
Yeah, I think that would look a little,
That'd be a little.
yeah, a little weird. So you'd say make a seal that looks like this, like of the new logo?
No. I think you said take that logo and move it there, and then put the new. That's the city seal. take
Right.
that, and move it over there, and take the logo and put it there. What I can,
Yeah.
But would we make it like a circle like that, make it look, so it's, or are you just talking about like a sticker?
no, we can literally physically move that.
Yeah, physically
The new
move
one.
that,
Talking about
but
the
then
new
the
one.
new one, build one that kind of looks similar with like,
No, it's square. You gotta remember, the new one's rectangular.
yeah, but we could put it inside of a circle like that, make it look like, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Were you saying just put a sticker up there of the new logo?
I just was, I don't know if,
It would have to be
the
classy
cheapest
looking
thing, the
like
cheapest
that.
thing's gonna be if you recreate that on this, in paint on this side and paint on that side and reflective something in the middle. I don't, the problem
Well, if
is
it's
Marty
gonna cost-
doesn't work here anymore, and I don't think anyone's gonna make something that looks like that.
You got a
that
tech
we
man with
have
his hand
before.
up, that's rare.
I didn't get a chance to talk to Joe about this, but if you decided that you wanted to do what John's wanting to do, I would, if the city will pay for the materials, I'll make the sign for the other side,
Oh, really?
because I've got CNC equipment and all that, I can do that.
And it could be in a circle like that, so it'd be matching in a way?
I'm telling you, it's not gonna look good in a circle.
No, it's gotta be
Okay.
rectangular.
But it would look classy enough to match that.
Yeah, it'd be another almost 2.5D sign that,
I've seen some plaques he makes, it's,
it would look just
It's
like.
professional.
It would look just like the decal, only it would be a sign. It just wouldn't be something pasted on the wall.
Right.
Okay. I don't have any objections. I mean, we gotta kind of do what we gotta do. I'm surprised that it's $3,100.
I can't go to Ace Hardware and get a roll of Gorilla Tape and tape it back
I
on.
offered to go up on the ladder and glue it up there myself.
And I said no. Gotta keep you around.
Okay, the next hard decision is what you're looking at on the floor. So, so far what I can tell you is, unfortunately, there's not a restocking fee for the old carpet. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
The cost to,
Unfortunately?
I know, I thought he said unfortunately too, but
Oh, I thought you said unfortunately.
I think you said unfortunate, but you meant fortunately.
unfortunately?
Yeah.
No,
Fortunately.
there's not a restocking fee,
Right.
so that's good. To carpet the floor was gonna be about $4,800. So we'll save that. We will still need to carpet where you're sitting up on the dais, so that number hasn't come back yet. And then to redo the floor, it's $5,300. So it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. The difference is, once you refinish this floor, it's pretty much permanent. We shouldn't have to touch it, except maybe every couple of dozen years or so, however often, you might need to put another coat of sealant on it. But outside of that, I think it should last for a very long time.
You're talking a difference of only $500?
15.
I thought he said $4,800 and $5,300.
Yeah, but you gotta do up
Plus,
there too.
plus you never have to do up on the dais here.
Oh, it's $4,800 for both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever it's gonna cost us to carpet up here, on top of that 5,300.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm in full support of it. There's a historic value to it. There's a longevity that we won't have to replace the carpet in another 10 or 20 years, and that was way too long anyways. The seats that you all are sitting in tonight, a lot of them are falling apart. They get on the back of your jackets, and it's almost in a way embarrassing when we have people come to our commission meetings.
These are now the new seats.
Those are fixed.
Oh, those are new? Okay.
Those are the new
I was gonna
ones.
say, these look pretty nice.
They just
So,
finished putting those
so
in.
these won't fall off on the back of your jacket. When you get home, you don't need a lint roller. But, so I'm in all favor of spending the extra 15 or whatever it may
Go
be
ahead and proceed
to go
with-
ahead and proceed. Is there any objection to that?
Oh, you already promised Rent that you were gonna do it.
I was preempting you guys.
You gotta pay for yourself.
You wanted some numbers, so those are the.
Yep, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Forte. Any objections?
The last thing I want to talk to you about, and Val's going to pull up some pictures, is a mural on the concrete bridge on Daytona Avenue. It's 4 feet by 80 feet, the tall one that's actually on the west side of the bridge over LPGA. So, Mayor, when you and I were at the plaza, a young lady stood up and mentioned that she does murals, and I gave her my card, and we connected after that. And she was very enthusiastic in wanting to paint murals around Daytona and Holly Hill, and I told her about this opportunity. So she came over and take a look, and she really wants to do this. She is the definition of an artist, this particular young lady that I met with. So she's also started a nonprofit, Save the Murals. I don't remember the name of it. It's only her and one other gentleman that are involved in that right now. But she came over, and they estimated that the cost to do this mural would be about $10,000, $12,000, $13,000. So she said she'd be willing to do this one for us for under $5,000. And what you see up there is a digital version of what her vision would be. I said, I gave her the thought of, give me something that's kind of ocean-like, turtles, dolphins. So that was one version, and then now if you zip to the next one, it's very similar. This one's got a parrot, the other one had a flamingo. So then in doing that, Big John is also a big promoter of murals, and he sent 2 other people to me, and they sent me their versions. And this one, this person that does these, she does a lot of backdrops kind of for plays and musicals, theater kind of things. So you can kind of see what she's got up on the slides for those. And then another one that Val will pull up is a woman that does mostly watercolors, but she would do this in the regular permanent paint. And this could last many, many years, this mural, once it's put on there. And this is the one that's kind of a watercolor type of paint. These last 2 artists, their prices were $12,000 and $15,000. So with your support, I'd like to go ahead and move forward with selecting one of them, actually the first one, at under $5,000 that we can fund through the CRA, and give this mural thing a shot and see how it would work. I think if it comes out the way she projects it, and Val, can you pull up the Facebook? To give you an idea of the type of work that she does, because that's a digital version, I'm thinking, well, I could show you a digital version, and then what I paint's a lot different. But this is her Facebook page, and you can see some of the work that's on there, and that's the artist there. And she is very detailed. It's very vibrant, the colors that she uses and the work that she does. And I think she's going to be able to produce what she showed us in that. If you look at the whales there, that's pretty detailed work from my eye.
Joe, is there any way to clear coat it to protect it from graffiti?
They do put a sealant on there. Now, I would hope that nobody's going to come in and damage something like that. And I'll tell you, if somebody damages that work, then I'm done. There's no sense in doing anything else. I'll get Mr. Legere to come out here and yell at all the people, because this is exactly what we're trying to do for this community. And if we can't get people to respect it, then why bother? Why bother doing anything for this community if that's what they're going to do? So I hope that nobody would damage it. It does get a clear coat on it, but I don't know how you would clean paint off of paint.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works, but I think this particular artist would do a fantastic job, and I'd like to give her a shot at it and see what we can come up with.
I agree, Mr. Forte. I reviewed all these with you, and she's already done amazing work, and it's by far the most cost-effective. I think it'll be beautiful. I think it's a good use of CRA to reduce blight, so I'm in favor of this.
And if this works well, we've got 3 other walls that we can go to for the next one. They're shorter, but they can still, the 2 on Ridgewood and the other one on Daytona Avenue.
Well, then, I'm thinking even bigger than that. If this takes off, we have a painting grant for the CRA. I don't see any reason why we couldn't have a mural grant for the CRA to put it on commercial buildings on US 1.
Well, this would still count as a painting grant. If somebody came in and said, I want to paint my building, and it's going to cost $10,000, the painting grant could paint for that as it is.
That's okay. That's what I'm hoping.
The only thing I would point out is,
Buzzkill.
Let's hear it.
when you're doing it on our property, doing it ourselves, that's fine. When all of a sudden you let people start putting murals on their property,
Can't control.
you all of
we
a sudden,
can't
you can't control
yeah.
what they're putting up there. It becomes a First Amendment issue.
The only
Okay.
thing we
So
can
be careful.
control is if it
If we
becomes-
paid for it, though, we don't have to reimburse them, do we?
It's tough to deny somebody.
Yeah, but even if you deny it, they could do it anyway.
Yeah, they can still do it. I'm just saying, you may want to
Right.
have the ocean, and you might get the swastika, but just be
Well-
okay to understand.
Here's
It's
the
gonna
thing
be-
you have to know already, though. We don't regulate murals in this city. We already have properties that have murals on them.
Oh, so
We don't
someone just
consider them
painted.
signage?
It's only a sign if it's a sign reflecting the business. So for example, Chris's Lounge has several murals on the side of the building.
Oh, that's
None of
true.
them say that it's a bar or a lounge or alcohol or anything. She just has murals on it.
True, yeah.
Big John has a mural on his garage door now. So there are some businesses that already have murals that are, so we can regulate it in terms of it being a sign. It would fall under the sign ordinance. But if it's not sign related to the business and somebody wants to paint a scene, I think we embrace it.
Okay. Just
As long as the scene is appropriate.
We can't regulate that.
Yeah.
Well, then we shouldn't embrace it.
Well, no, it's already. Someone could paint one right now.
Right now, when I say by embrace it, is that we would encourage people to paint murals. Right now, we're silent on it. Somebody
Yeah.
paints a mural, we don't say or do anything.
But we can control this one. So I like the way it looks. I think it's great. It'll improve the area, make it look better. So is there any objection to going with that first artist? All right. Thank you, Joe. You have consensus. Do you need a vote? You want to vote? Let's do a vote. Let me give you a vote.
Sure.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Vice Mayor and second by Commissioner Johnson. Would anybody in the audience like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
And the last thing, just to let you know, I may not be at the next meeting. For those of you that don't know, I was able to produce a grandchild last Monday.
You were? Still got it, huh?
I get credit for that, right? Somehow,
Down the line somewhere.
I'm somehow 25 or 14.5% responsible for that.
If it wasn't for you,
12 and a half, you mean?
the baby wouldn't be there, so that's true.
The next one is scheduled to come 2 weeks from today, so probably won't be here for that, for that meeting. Depending upon what happens and the timing and what's on the agenda, we'll figure out how I'm going to handle the rest of that. So that's all that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Forte. Mr. Simpson?
No comment.
Any more bad news?
All right, I don't have anything tonight. Mr. Penny, do you have anything?
There's a lot of good things going on last weekend in our city. It's unfortunate that Mother Nature
I'll tell you.
kind of closed our art show early on Saturday. I was down there, and it was a little bit of chaos, but it was good chaos, I think. There was a plethora of activity. Shuttle buses were coming back and forth. Golf carts were coming back and forth. People were parking on the side of the river, and it was a
Talking
lot
about
of-
Benjamin Franklin's coming out of your wallet.
there was a lot of people over there at Sunrise Park, and unfortunately, the promoters at 4 o'clock made the decision to pull the plug for the pending weather, and they were right, because about 2 hours later, some microburst blew through, and you guys all know what was
Were you
here
there for
Sunday.
pizzas or what?
I wasn't there. I left. She said, pack up your stuff and leave, and we packed up our stuff and left. And then we had, the big tournament at Pictona. I wasn't able to go over there because I was at the art show, so, but a lot of good things happening. It's good to be in Holly Hill right now.
Amen.
I just want to add to that, and I think, I might have mentioned it to you already, Mayor, but in addition to Pictona, which had a successful weekend, and the art show, which had a successful Saturday, light gymnastics had a successful Friday night with 123 children participating. So this little city, this past weekend, had a lot of activity for all different ages going on, and I think it should be notable that that's been taking place.
Definitely, yeah, and every day, flight gymnastics is packed. It's right by my house, that's great. Commissioner Daniel?
No, I was just gonna congratulate Rent again on 35 years and the way we kind of sent her off on a high note there. And I guess just keep Penny Curry in our prayers, because apparently she's having a hard time, but other than that, I have nothing.
All right, Commissioner Johnson?
I kind of like the gymnastics myself. I was talking to the owner a while back. He said he has like over 450 kids come there or something.
Yeah.
And that's where Dallas is going to have his birthday party this year.
Oh, that's right.
That's gonna be good. And I don't have much about LPGA tonight, but I was on LPGA the other day as usual, and traffic was backed up all the way, I would say, to the off exit on 92 on LPGA. Where they get off I-4 coming, they was backed all the way to that left turn lane and all the way back down and all the way down LPGA. Sooner or later, LPGA has got to take off.
Yeah.
And it was back to bad the other direction.
All right. Is that it, Commissioner?
Yes.
All right. With that, is there any further business? We are adjourned. Yes. Yes. Need blue?
Yeah.
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 Need blue?
Yeah.